And welcome back to No Game Schedule, a very much long-awaited return. And that's all we're really going to talk about the break and absence we have had so far. I'm John Maste. That's Matt Lamsky, Anthony Hudson, Caleb Bernard not with us today. We're going to get right into it. We are coming off of the semifinals for the college football playoffs. Man, we really needed Caleb here because I feel like this is like a gang up of two Notre Dame fans versus a Georgia fan. But as you just stated, Ant, you said you're not defending your boys.
Going into it, man, I'm not defending my Georgia Bulldogs. They got completely outclassed by Notre Dame. First of all, I was not familiar with y'all game at all. I'm sorry. I'm be honest with you. I'll give y'all props. Notre Dame completely rallied to their tackles, played a absolutely forceful and dominant defensive game. That's really what it was on both sides. Like going into it, we knew it was the Sugar Bowl, right? Really heightened matchup. We thought Georgia was at least going to put up a show, at least keep it close, and they did, right? It was a defensive matchup game, and going into that third quarter, you kind of saw Notre Dame was clearly just the better team. Just on both sides, it just clearly was the better team. And I have to give props to Xavier Watts. He's a safety. Probably the best safety in the nation, other than Caleb Downs from Ohio State. But one of the best safeties in the nation. He definitely just was all over the place. He had seven tackles, 6 solo tackles, and had one tackle for loss. Also, Keisner, I think that's his name. Yeah, Keisner. He's a linebacker for y'all. He was all over the field. Just all over the field, rallying to everybody, making key tackles. And the fourth quarter, I mean, Riley Leonard, the man that I've doubted all year. I'm be honest
I
with
mean,
you.
Notre Dame fans doubted him. Like,
Literally.
let's not lie.
I mean, like, we're talking about like Notre Dame specifically. Everyone always forgets that like we are very, very prominent in building a very solid like safety and like back end like secondary team.
Mhm.
Like Kyle
It's a
Hamilton
defense
is
always.
Kyle Hamilton is thriving in the NFL right now.
First year was
He's doing
one of the best
fantastic.
rookie safeties.
And then our safeties and our secondary right now are doing great. We always have like decent linebackers. Like looking back at it, like Manti Te'o, probably one of
Yeah.
the best linebackers
Yep.
to come. Just
Yeah,
an
for sure.
unfortunate situation with him.
For sure. Yeah. What
But
happened?
yeah, um, but then like everyone always knows like when you go to Notre Dame, you go to Notre Dame if you are an offensive lineman for sure or a tight end. Like
Yes.
we can build a tight end like nobody's business. Why do you think
Y'all
the
can
Bears?
build an offensive lineman. Oh my goodness.
Why do you think the Bears
Offensive
have 7 tight ends? And where are they all from? Notre Dame. Because like we just build tight ends like that. Like we
Yes.
can
I
do
think they're
that.
second in the NFL. I forgot what number.
Iowa.
Is it Iowa?
Iowa's
Yeah.
number one, and then like
Yeah.
But for a while, it was like Notre Dame.
It's Notre Dame. Like if you're a tight end and you're
Big
like,
boys.
yeah, you go to Notre Dame, especially like bigger guys, you
Mhm.
go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But we've never been able to, getting back on track, we've never been able to like build a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's not been one quarterback that's like thrived in the NFL
And
from us.
to be fair, we still haven't because
No, like-
Leonard came in as a transfer. I recently learned this. So Notre Dame as a whole, not just the sports program, but the school does not accept transfer students. If you like start at one school and you want to go to Notre Dame, you have to like restart, right? They want Notre Dame everything from top to bottom for academics, which means you're never gonna get like a transfer portal kid for football. And it's like Riley Leonard. Well, how'd he get in? Well, he's a master's student, right? So he did his 4 years at Duke or whatever else he was, and then now he came here for his final year, right? Through his,
Same thing with Hartman, right?
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. So in terms of college football today, Notre Dame is relatively at a loss. However, that does mean you could theoretically truly build guys from freshmen, they get the 10 years of eligibility they get nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, you can really build a team top to bottom.
Mhm.
You don't have to. I feel like that's the problem with some of these college football teams that they're trying to do is all these transfer portal kids. You're not, yeah, they're great. And you know this. Team cohesion, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, bring in a quarterback for whatever. But what if him and your WR1 doesn't work out? What if he doesn't like your tight end? What if the O linemen don't like him?
That is true. And I feel like the chemistry overall, like that's really huge, like you said.
Mhm.
And if anybody's gonna be on Notre Dame and gonna be on the team, I mean, I would want to be behind Riley Leonard. That fourth quarter, like I said, it was going into it. They could not
Dude,
stop
shades
the running game.
shades of
Riley
Josh
Leonard.
Allen with Riley Leonard.
Literally, just a really like it was like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, and I'm just like Georgia, make a stop, make a stop, make a stop. Y'all are top 5 defense in the nation. I feel like one of the best defenses other than Texas. And they could not stop Riley Leonard. He only had 90 passing yards.
Mhm.
90 passing yards and a
Right.
touchdown. literally, and still find a way to
80
win the
rushing
game.
though.
80
80 rushing
rushing,
will
yeah,
hurt you.
literally.
Here's what it comes down to. I took these notes yesterday when I was on the radio. Georgia on third downs 2-12, on fourth downs 0-3, 2 fumbles lost, red zone scoring chances 0-2, and 4 sacks.
wow.
I mean, you can praise Notre Dame as much as you want, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, on paper, quite literally, Georgia did lose this game for themselves a little
Mhm.
bit. To the point, also, you got some redshirt kid running. They score a touchdown on that drive. If that kid doesn't bump the referee, they score a touchdown
Yeah,
because they're within
100%.
15.
Yeah.
That and then you're up 7-0. It's Georgia. I'm backup QB or not. No one's coming back from 7-0 at this first quarter against Georgia. No one is.
Yeah, no,
No
I
one.
feel like this game was all about momentum. After Notre Dame got that fumble, they got those 3 points right at the end of the second quarter, and then going into half, they got a touchdown. You know, they stopped Georgia, and then what do? They return the kick. Dude, that would be. I was
It's not
watching the
even.
game
So
with
was
my
the
dad.
Buccaneers.
It's not even 2 fumbles lost and like, man, dang, they turned the ball over. No, it's a fumble loss when Georgia's on the 10
Yeah,
and NTN, who was I was like, that's it. I saw NTN in the first quarter. I'm like, we're done. He drops that ball. You didn't hear from him the rest of the game. I don't
Right.
even know if
Oh,
I don't even know if he touched the ball.
it
So
would
he
even
loses that on the 10,
advantage.
and then field flips, literally almost the same exact spot. Dude, like I've never seen a football game decided in the first quarter before, and I feel like it was in this one.
I
yeah.
definitely respect that 100%. Man, that I'm gonna be honest with you, that kick return, that was the
That
very
hurt.
first play of the third quarter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, second half. Yeah,
Oh my goodness, I was
I
screaming
mean,
at my
like, it's
TV.
got to be demoralizing to go into like you go into the locker room, right? You're Kirby Smart. You're giving this amazing speech about,
Hmm.
the game's not over. We got 2 more quarters. We're Georgia Bulldogs. We will come back. We'll turn it around. We'll be fine. First play that you get out there and he returns the kick. God, I'd be so demoralized if I was a
and that
player.
energy I saw.
No, like it would be sucked out of me.
I saw it. Like they showed like a camera angle and like had a little bit of a field noise with it too. But like the Notre Dame bench right before halftime, I'm like, man, I don't want to play this team in the second half. They were fired up. And like, listen, it all goes back to coaching, right? Because coaching, you have to either if you're Notre Dame side, hey man, you got to keep that, and you got to take your 15 minutes at halftime, and you got to figure out a way how to keep that going into the third quarter. And Marcus Freeman very clearly did, right?
Yeah.
Georgia, you got to be able, hey, close game, right? Last 2 minutes of the second quarter did not go our way, right? Got to fix it up. I didn't think Georgia. I mean, I really put this game all on coaching because I think Georgia played a good game. Their backup QB, I think he did a good job.
He didn't do a
I think
bad job. He
Stockton,
really didn't.
but like I think it all really came down to coaching.
Yeah. I feel like it came down to Notre Dame just being the better team. I'm be honest with you, and I feel like there's a debate out there if our starting quarterback, I can't even think of his name, that said
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. If Carson Beck would have played, if it would have made a difference, no, it would have not made a difference in my
Yeah.
opinion. Because Carson Beck literally had his woes, throwing 2 picks a game, just not playing on sound offensively, and they hyped the mess out of Gunnar Stockton. They hyped them up so much, saying, I think it was Herb. I think it was either Herb or Kirk on college football game day saying, "Oh, he's a 5-star. He came in, beat Trevor Lawrence, beat Deshaun Watson, high school record." And I'm just like, bro, we're going against Notre Dame. Like I know we're still going against
By the way, that guy's still in college. By
great
the way,
defense, huh?
the 2 guys you named, you go up against, and I'm like, this guy's still in college. Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun, bro, get a job. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
And they
Um,
hyped them up so much, and I'm just like, bro, like they're still. This is the quarterfinals here. Like they're
Yeah.
still going against a great opponent, and he didn't do bad. He didn't do bad at all. But I just feel like
O-line
Notre Dame
definitely
just
didn't help.
played. The O-line didn't help at all. No.
I mean, 4 sacks. I mean, dude, eventually that's not your fault.
Yeah, I just
That's
felt
the
like
big point.
Notre Dame just played a better game. That's all I feel like.
I mean,
And the
defense.
coaching, I just
I
feel
mean,
like they played a
like
better
Matt
game.
said, I mean, then defense really came up big. But at the same time, it's like, all right, you had 3 weeks off. Which, by the way, we'll get to that in a minute about the first round buys from these 4 teams, right? But you had 3 weeks, knowing that QB1 was out, Beck's out, he gets injured in the SEC championship game against Texas, right? You can't. You're telling me you don't have 3 weeks to prepare this kid?
yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching, man, goes back to coaching.
Well, like one thing that I want to come back to, and then I'm done on the topic is you talked about like leadership and like Marcus Freeman, John, about how just like important it is. Jordan Faison, he won a lacrosse NCAA championship this year for Notre Dame. He plays on the football team. He gave a speech at the beginning of the game about what it takes to win a national championship. That I think might be like the turning point for Notre Dame right there. Like, even if we just make it to
man, if
the
anything,
final.
lacrosse is as physical and competitive
Oh, yeah.
as football.
Yeah,
Oh, for sure, yeah.
100%.
I mean, football, hockey, and lacrosse probably the only three in category when it comes to physicalness.
Yeah, and like if there's gonna be a turning point for Notre Dame and let's say if they make it to the finals, I'd be impressed. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough, but if they make it, I'd be impressed. I truly believe that the turning point is that speech he gives about what it takes to win. Because like we've never had a national championship in the locker room, never. And like the first one comes from a different sport. Doesn't matter. You're still an NCAA Notre Dame champion.
Yeah, it's
That's the turning
dedication.
point. Yeah.
I mean, dedication transfers, and like at the end of the day, Notre Dame,
Yeah.
you got to play like a champion today. We'll get to a playoff semifinals preview in just a little bit. We're going to cover these other three games rather quickly. We'll start with the most boring to the least boring because that's really the only way these games are described. Penn State versus Boise State. Listen, man, Penn State's got a really good offense, and Boise State, the only reason they were in. Did I come out? Can you guys hear me? Yeah,
Yeah,
can you hear?
so yeah.
Interesting. All right. Sorry about that. Boise State, Ashton Genty did not have the game he had. I think he had 104 rushing yards to complete the game, which any other quarterback, that's pretty good for a college football playoff game. However, Ashton Genty needs to average 300 yards a game in order for Boise State to be competitive, and he didn't. Matt, we'll go to you on this one first.
I really did not think they deserve to be a 3 seed. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah.
I know that's a hot take. I definitely think that the Heisman should not have gone the way that it went.
Mhm.
I mean, he was 58 yards from breaking, was it Barry Sanders'
Yeah, Barry
record?
Sanders.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, dude, he's the Heisman winner. There's no way he's not. Like, he's first round. He's top 5 pick easily. Shadir Sanders, nah. Travis Hunter, nah. Like, I don't know about the top 5, but like name alone, coming from Coach Prime, they are probably top 5. But like pure player, pure athletic. Like, oh my God, look at that kid. It was him. Like, it was Jeffrey. Like, I don't know how you can't. And like, I feel like Penn State just figured a way to shut him down, and that was the easiest thing ever. And like, as a Notre Dame fan, I'm scared to play Penn State. I don't want to play Penn State right now.
No, not at all.
They're terrifying.
It's good. I'll tell you what, this will be a significantly more competitive game. Again, we'll get to it a little bit more later. But Notre Dame defense versus Penn State offense will be probably the greatest showing of college football we have seen this entire season. Because you flip it on the other side, Notre Dame offense versus Penn State defense is gonna be like, all right, well, anybody want to go to the store?
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm gonna stay away from the actual Heisman talk, and I'm gonna stay away from the bidding because that's a whole different
whole
topic we can
conversation
talk about for another hour.
For sure.
But as far as the game, 8 men in the box. Stopped Ashton Genty. Literally, that's all it was. And honestly, give it up to Ashton Genty. He still had 105 yards. I think that's what it was against a Penn State defense that's been dominated all year. I mean, literally, they had one of the best showings against Ohio State I've seen literally all year. And Ohio State has one of the best offenses, of course. And I feel like Amen in the box going against Ashton Genty. It was just a enforcing defense going against a Boise State defense that was not ready to go against a Big Ten, a defensive line. It was not, respectfully, but still give props to Ashton Genty for playing good. And honestly, did we really expect Boise State to win? Like, respectfully, we really didn't expect.
No one expected Boise State to win. No one expected Arizona State to win. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Just coming back to it, like Madsen having 3 picks is huge though. Like you can't throw 3 picks against Penn State. You can't. And like I don't want to knock on Penn State's defense. Like they're still a good team. I mean, like
that's how SMU lost.
Yeah, holding Genty to 100 is 104. So you're right, Ant. But like holding him on 30 carries, 104, dude, that's incredible.
But y'all have to realize, my bad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
When it comes to that, y'all, it's not even the secondary playing good. It's literally the defensive line being getting to the quarterback so fast.
Right.
You only have 1 or 2 seconds to throw the football. And eventually it's like, okay, I have to get this out. I see a receiver. I have to get this out. And literally throw out a sack, 20 yards down the field, pick easily. So
I was talking with somebody about this, and we were talking about Boise State and like what they need to do. And like they were going through like a lot of stuff. And I looked at him right in the face. I go, what's Boise State's quarterback's name? That's the end of the discussion, man. I don't know. To be honest, I still don't know. I watched the game and I still don't know. I don't know who the wide receivers are. I don't know who the tight end is. I'll touch on Heisman talk real quick. I think one of the biggest things that I think Genty should have won it is because without him, they are not in the college football playoff. It's as simple as that, right? Truly,
I can't argue that.
He is the team, and going to it, Penn State, they played SMU, right? They came in with a game plan with SMU. They needed to stop their quarterback. They did. They picked him off 3 times. They sacked him like 100 times, right?
Mhm.
They then took the 2 weeks, said, hey, our game plan against Boise State, we need to stop Ashton Genty.
Amen in the
They
box,
did.
literally
That was the game. There's really nothing else to add to that.
nothing.
We're going to the second most boring game of the week, Ohio State versus Oregon. I was a person who had Oregon winning the national championship. I really did believe they were the #1 school in the nation coming into the college football playoff. Wow. You and I kind of went at this a little bit prior to the game about Ohio State. And you were one of the people who I was talking about. And you'll get what I'm saying. Every time I would ask somebody, like, hey, why do you think Ohio State should win? Right? The answer was just vibes, right? It's like, oh, their head coach.
As an Ohio State fan, the answer is because it's Ohio State.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's it.
Like Caleb's not here, and like that's what he would say. But it's like, oh, their head coach is gonna get fired if they lose. Which I don't think after beating Oregon, I don't think so anymore. Even if they lose to Texas or lose to Penn State or Notre Dame, I think
No,
he's good.
I think
I don't know if
he'll
he'll get an
be fine.
extension, but I think he's good right now.
Yeah.
But like everyone was always like, oh, they're mad, they got a message to prove. And my thing was like, okay, what does that mean on a football field though? What do they have physically on a football field? I didn't watch a lot of this game because the Texas game ran long, right? And then the score, I turned it off because I'm like, this game's over with. But what I did watch, man, this is a tough football team that I would not want to play right now.
I got 2 words for y'all.
Oh my
Jeremiah Smith.
Man.
Oh my
Man.
goodness. Okay, I've been watching him all year, right? I've been watching him all year. Literally from week 1, they said it was either him or Ryan Day, 2 best wide receivers in the nation. A 17-year-old and an 18-year-old are the 2 best wide receivers.
Ryan Day's the best wide receiver in the
nation.
country.
Ryan Williams.
Ryan Day's the coach. Hey man, that's what Ryan Day's gonna need to get on the line if he wants to preserve his job eventually.
My bad. I thought I said Ryan.
No, you're good.
2 best
Ryan
wide
Williams.
receivers in the nation
Yeah.
already. Literally by week 4, you just like, okay, they're probably going to digress. They got better every single week, and I promise you, I have not seen. And I'm gonna add some Atlanta bias to this. I have not seen a performance like that. It's literally since like Julio Jones days, bro. And he reminds me of Julio Jones. Well, he had 7 catches for, I don't even know. You could pull it up. He had 7 catches for, I think, 190 yards, literally just throwing the football up to him. Will Howard was literally just throwing it up to him. Literally just said, Jeremiah Smith somewhere, just throw it down to him. Literally. And literally, it was to the point where he was getting double teamed and he's still going up one hand, snagging the ball, coming down with it. I mean, I just don't understand how Ohio State always find these wide receivers. I mean, you think about it in the past. I mean, you got Ibuka as of right now. You have, I can't even think.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin Harrison Jr. You think of all these wide receivers that have just been great, and they find an 18-year-old wide receiver 5-star, and he completely just demoralized Oregon State's defense.
Matt Anters talked about how great Ohio State did in this game and recruiting and everything else, but let's have you talk about Oregon. What happened with them, in your opinion?
I just think it's a momentum thing. Dude, they got 34 points in 2 quarters. In the first 2 quarters of the game. Like 34 points in 2 quarters against the #1 ranked team. That's insane. And going into the half, it was 34-8. Like, how do you let that happen as Oregon? Like, I genuinely think it's a momentum thing. I think momentum in like soccer and football, whatever you want to say, soccer and hockey are 2 of the biggest things in the game, right? And that's very obvious. You play those sports, like momentum in like boxing, football, and like basketball is not talked about enough.
Mhm.
So it's something like this, especially with these younger guys like that. And I say younger guys like they're our age, but like you see
Not
it.
Dylan Gabriel, man.
No, like no.
What is he?
Like
26 now?
Well, yeah, but like you see
Yikes.
these guys and they just get demoralized when it's like, God, they're just hammering it in, and like pause. But like you see it, they get so down on themselves, and like you don't know how to pick yourself back up from that. Especially like you're the #1 team, you're going in there hot, you're like yeah, we're gonna kill them, like we're going to kill them,
Yeah.
and then they come out there and they just
I brought
my
this
God.
up. I think in every sport, any level, doesn't matter what it is, I think the bye week is a death sentence. That first round bye week in a playoff,
Yeah.
whatever it is, death sentence.
Mhm.
And it's one thing in the pros, but it's like you literally just get like 1 week off, right? So you finish your last game of the season, Take a week. That's the playoffs. Take another week. All right, cool, you play. So technically, you get 2 weeks off. College football playoffs, man. These 4 teams, 3 weeks off. You got nearly a month off, and depending on when you played your championship game, nearly a month off. That's what I think that's the biggest thing of why all these 4 out. Now, Arizona State and Boise State, I don't think they could match up to the competition that they were going up against, Texas and Penn State. But you're talking about you're going up against a team, right? You look at Ohio State and you look at Notre Dame, right? You're going up against a team who, not that long, like they're coming off of a win in the playoffs, right? You're coming off of killing Tennessee, and you're coming off of beating Indiana, and like Indiana's big thing is like they've like the most points scored out of football this year, or whatever it was, or
like 40
yeah,
points.
or like point differential. Okay, so you're coming off a team that scores the ball really well, right, and was doing really well in the Big Ten, right? Obviously lost big games, but like the Big Ten football is kind of like top tier right now compared to the SEC. And Tennessee, it's just like, well, the reason they're called the Volunteers because I think they got people out of the stands to play the game for them. So you're coming off of games where these teams are winning, and then you're asking them to go into situation. Again, same thing with Texas. They beat Clemson, Penn State. They killed SMU. So okay, Matt, you're talking about momentum. That's exactly what it is. You've allowed these teams to build momentum, and then they're going up against a team who, honestly, rusty.
Yeah.
Rusty. That's the thing about the bye week is even if you have a week off, you got to build your rhythm. You got to get your motion in, right? That, your timing on the offensive line or the defensive line, it can be off a little bit in 3 weeks, right? Just a little bit. And listen, in football, especially at this level, you're off just a little bit, you're getting cooked.
Yes.
I think that's what happened with some of these teams.
100%.
Yeah, one thing like you're talking about.
And I think that's what happened to Oregon.
Yeah, well, you're talking about having a bye week. One thing going into defense, like cold. And when I say cold, I mean like it's tough. Like as a defender who played soccer, if I had a game off and then I went in the next game, I was
you got burned.
I was terrible because going into defense cold is super super tough, and that's something that we noticed with this. Obviously Arizona State, Texas had a really good game. Texas just pulled it out there at the end. They found their rhythm, so they had 31 points. But then you go down to Oregon, they had 21. Then you go down to Boise State, they had 14. Then you go down to Georgia, they had 10. Like you notice a trend where it's like they just can't get started. They can't get hot, I mean, like Texas had 39 points, Ohio State had 41, Penn State had 31, Notre Dame with 23. Like you notice this trend where it's like their defense just can't hold up against these guys.
Yeah.
I just meant that.
Like I heard like a lot of people where it's like, oh, like Oregon got a bad pool, right? Like Oregon would have been better off losing the Big Ten championship game.
Pool.
They would have been better off losing the Big Ten championship, letting Penn State take that spot, Penn State's spot, and have a run of thing. No. Listen, man, I'm sorry, terrible attitude to have. Terrible attitude to have. You play to win the game. You play to win the game. Doesn't matter what draw you get. And I think the seeding, is a problem. How they put teams in, right? I think what they should do is, all right, cool. If you want to have the top 4, conference champions winners, right? You want to do that? Okay, they get a seed. Doesn't mean they automatically get a bye, right?
Right.
Have everybody automatically be in. Have your top 12 teams go 1 to 12, right? Boise State. I mean, if we put all these teams 1 through 12 in the golf playoffs, right? Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, SMU, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Georgia, Boise State, Oregon, Arizona. We put all of them out, right? 1 through 12. Boise State, what? 6, 7? No, they technically the 3 seed. Come on, no way.
The AP polled.
You're telling me ASU out of this list, ASU is 12. Yeah. They are the 12th best team in the college football playoff.
Yeah,
and
Clemson made it at 16.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't get that.
I mean, I just feel like
Alabama didn't deserve to be in it though.
No,
that's all I'm saying. Hey, how'd that Michigan game go, guys?
Speaking of Michigan, I told you, man. I told you that was the reason why Ohio State. No one wants to play them right now, man. I told you, no one wants.
I get it. I definitely get it. Do you think them losing is the reason like they're fired up, or do you think what happened after the game with the whole flag planting? Both.
Yeah. Both. Honestly, I mean, you come to their turn. You got to think about it. You got to think about it, John. 4-year starters against our rival team, and we haven't won.
You've never beat them. Never beat them
against them. And then they come and plant a flag on our turf.
Yeah.
How could you not be riled up by that? Then, I mean, I know you said it beforehand. I know it's probably controversial, but like they're saying that our coach is gonna get fired. He's not good enough. He's not good enough to be a head coach in the college football
environment. Yeah.
It's like how can you not get fired up by that? How can that not piss you off to dominate,
especially
against
like
these
some of these
teams.
guys. Like most players in college football, it's like they don't really go to a school. They go to a coach, right? They want to go to a guy who's like, hey, I want to. This guy's going to play me. This guy's going to develop me.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some guys out there where it's like, nah, man, I want to go to Texas, right? I like barbecue a lot, right? I'm Catholic. I want to go to Notre Dame. But like most of the time, it's like, and you see, look at Signetti, right? Look at most of the players in Indiana this year. They were with James Madison.
Yeah.
And they went over. They just follow your coach, right?
Mhm.
So that's a thing to get fired up about. I understand. But then again, it's just going backwards. Like, all right, cool. What does Ohio State have? And man, that's a team. Let's go into Texas versus Arizona State real quick. This was, I mean, it's kind of interesting. Notre Dame and Georgia was definitely a competitive game, right? Throughout, right? All 4 quarters. Texas versus Arizona State did not get competitive until the second half, and as the game went on, it got more competitive. I think the reason people like looked at, I first of all, I'll say it out there. I think Quinn Ewers is a fraud. Fraud.
I don't think that's a bad take. Like, I don't like him either. I don't know what it is, but like, I can't get behind
Did
him.
you hear some schools offering him like $12 million?
Yeah.
So,
I think
some random schools offer him $12 million to play for them next year.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Whoever you are, give me $12 million. I'll have the same production as Quinn Ewers. I promise you.
Like, I don't think, like, yeah, he had 322 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
Yeah.
he's slinging the ball. He's great, but also,
It's
I
really
don't
weird.
know what it is.
It's
Is it
really
a
weird. The
character?
reason this game wasn't a blowout, right? Texas easily could have killed this team, right? In a weird way. But Arizona State held onto the ball for so long in the second half and didn't score that it actually just prevented Texas from having the ball. Them having the ball and not scoring actually like kept them in this game. The only time in college football history, anytime in football history where not scoring gave you a chance to win the game.
It's like they used the running game, like you said, to just keep staying on the field, just progression. They were on the field for a very long time. And then eventually it's like, okay, y'all gonna pass the ball? Are y'all gonna pass the ball? And guess who scores the first pass?
They drive all the way down, don't get anything.
Guess who throws the first pass touchdown?
Cam Scatterbo.
The running back, Cam Scatterbo. Are you kidding me?
That kid's draft stock went through the roof.
The running back, literally.
That kid will go. That kid was probably 4th, 5th round guy. No, first round draft pick.
First round. I don't know. He had 1,700 yards now.
He was still good. Like, he's really good. But like,
he's a first round. Whatever you want to put him at. First round draft.
Obviously, Genty. 2 now for me is Scatterbo. Like, I don't know how.
I mean, and honestly, depending on what you're looking for at the running back position, right? Because I talked about this yesterday. I think teams are starting to get the sense that like, okay, we don't need to put a lot of stock into wide receivers anymore, right?
Yeah.
The tight end game is coming back. The running back game is coming back. I think. Listen, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and last year with Christian McCaffrey, they did so much for like running backs as a whole. Where it's like, oh wait, yeah, we can have the running game. We don't need to fully rely on our quarterback to launch one up the field, right? Even what Isaiah Pacheco was doing with the Chiefs, right? And they're the Chiefs. All right, cool. Their running back game's always been pretty good, right? Pretty good. So I think running backs are coming back. And so depending on what you're looking for in a team and what you want to look for in a guy, I can see that, like, maybe I'm not saying all of them, but some teams I think would take Scatterbo over Genty. I don't think it's going to happen, right, because of draft order, but it's definitely possible.
Oh man, if Bill Belichick was still in the league,
I was saying, dude,
Bill
like,
Belichick was still in the league.
Patriots had the number 1 pick.
There's probably like I just feel like there's maybe 5 teams in the NFL who would take Scatterbo over Ashton Genty. Only because if you take Ashton Genty, it's because like that will be your offense, right? Your offense is fully going to rely on this guy for majority of your snaps.
It had to be that way.
I feel like if you're taking them that way,
I feel like it depends on the team. I feel like it depends on the team. Like the Giants, dude, the Giants are taking Genty. There's no way. Like they're gonna trade up for him, right? There's no way.
The Giants wouldn't need to trade up, but they decided to turn into the '98 Packers against the Colts the other day.
Yeah, but no, I mean like the top 4 teams in the draft right now: Patriots, Browns, Titans, Giants. Dude, they'll all take a running back. Like they could use a running back.
Yeah,
like I don't. But regardless,
we're not going to overall pick. The Cleveland Browns select a massage therapist. We're gonna move on.
Yeah, I don't think we can get we can't get in a draft stock right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's one more game, right?
No, that was the last game. Yeah,
that was the last game of the quarter.
Yeah. No. There's one more game in the NFL season, so like draft stock isn't solidified yet.
Yeah,
definitely.
We're
going to talk about the NFL in just a little bit. We're going to wrap up the college football playoffs real quick with talking about the playoff semifinals. So it will be Texas and Ohio State at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl on January 10th, and it will be Penn State and Notre Dame at the Capital One Orange Bowl January 9th. That game is in Miami. Cotton Bowl is where?
Cotton
Is
Bowl.
it California?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, like, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Wherever, regardless of where. Oh wait, no, it's in Texas.
Is
It's
it?
in Texas. It's essentially going to be a home game for Texas.
Hmm.
That will be the only thing. Yeah, I'll
Yeah, I don't. I'm not really worried. Like Texas looks shaky at the end. They got some really good plays at the end in overtime, but like maybe they have a little bit more edge because
It's
like
in
they've
Dallas.
gone to overtime.
Oh, it's in Dallas.
But I'm not worried about it. As an Ohio State fan, Ohio State looks hot.
Are they undefeated on the road?
Who, Texas?
No, Ohio State.
They've only. Yeah,
they are.
undefeated on the
You know,
road.
their only loss
They only lost to
is Mich.
Michigan.
No, they lost to Oregon.
Oregon and Michigan.
No, they lost to Oregon at Oregon.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
But again, that was a good team.
That was a really good team. Yeah. I just gotta say, going into it, I don't know for the Texas and Ohio State game. I'm perplexed. So I don't
We've
know.
officially gotten to the point where there is like, all right, this game goes both ways. Right,
really
past
does.
2 rounds, it's like we know who's winning.
Because my prediction, y'all, in the beginning of the season, I said that Georgia was gonna probably get their 3rd national championship, or it was gonna be Texas. Texas was gonna go all the way. Kenny Ewers was gonna lead them. He was gonna play bad in the national championship. Arch Manning was gonna come in and he was gonna lead them. Beat them, the team they going against the national
writing a
championship,
movie over
and they
here.
were going to win, and they were going to start a Texas dynasty. That's what I said. That's what I said before the season. But man, Ohio State, man, I don't. That's a hard team to go.
It will be tough
to go against. That's a hard team to go.
I mean,
against.
on paper, right? What they have, the best team of the 4.
I mean,
right?
Yeah,
the best team of the 4.
Mhm.
So at this point, and all these teams are good. All these teams are very good. I don't think anyone would be surprised if any one of these teams won the national championship. No one would be surprised.
I think Notre Dame. I think people would be surprised at Notre Dame.
Oh yeah,
That's true.
That's
true. That's just because that's just because they're an independent team. That's pretty much all it is.
No, it's because y'all choke every year. And win.
That is
That's-
very
that's-
true
that's
as well.
right.
That is
Yeah,
very true as well. Actually, Notre Dame is in a conference. It's NBC, and but Ohio State, man, if they could take what they have on the field with what they have momentum wise, energy wise, tough team to beat if you're Texas. I predict this. I think we're gonna see Arch Manning in this game. I think again. I already talked about Matt. You said Quinn Ewers. I'm not a fan of him. I think he gets taken out, and I think they put in Archie Manning.
That's not ridiculous
I think
to say.
They did the same thing against Georgia. I mean,
did.
at the time they played Georgia, Georgia was like arguably #1 team in the country, right? If it wasn't for their record, they probably would have been.
Yeah.
Right. They had that late game loss to
Let me not bring that up.
Alabama. Hey, all right. But like Georgia was a good team at the time, and they took out Quinn Ewers. And now let's put it up. That Georgia team they played and this Ohio State team, I think everyone would say this Ohio State team is better. And so you took Quinn Ewers out of that game. What are you gonna do on this one?
Yeah. I definitely feel like I'm gonna stay with my prediction. I'm gonna say Texas is gonna win.
You're gonna say Texas?
Oh man, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be very tough.
Yeah.
But I feel like Texas, and I've always said, I said it all year, that Texas got the best defense in the nation. They really do. I mean, Anthony Hill Jr.
Doesn't Texas have like the most guys who are going to be drafted this upcoming draft?
It has to be Ohio State.
Has to be Ohio State. I feel like that's all they talked about during the Texas ASU game was like this offensive line for Texas has the most draftees. And it's like, all right.
They do have a lot of draftees. They do.
I just feel like Quinn Ewers, like the defense there was shaky at the end for Texas. You know what I mean? Like Texas is good defense, but you saw it. You saw they were shaky. You know what I mean? They gave up a lot of points, and they were probably just exhausted. I'll give them that. You know, they like you said, John, they had the ball for a long time on offense. But like, what's gonna happen when you run into that Ohio State defense?
I mean, but if they play a good game, then that's not the. I mean, they had a shaky game, but you don't see that often from Texas. You really don't. Like, if anything, it's always the offense that's shaky. That's the first time I've seen Texas, their defense be shaky. That's the first time. Normally, like you said, it's yours just not playing good, having bad performances. But I feel like that's like a one time occurrence. Like, really, if I'm being so honest. Because it
has to be. It has to be.
It has to be. They play sound football every single week.
Yeah.
Literally.
And again, ASU just holding the ball for so long. I mean, really, just
they did.
First of all, okay. I'll be devil's advocate for Texas. It's like, yeah, ASU holds the ball for so long. Defense is on the field for a long time. Man, defense was bad. Man, defense was tired. Yeah. They're exhausted. We'll go down to Matt. Do you have a prediction for Texas?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Ohio State too.
They're hot.
Yeah, absolutely. Penn State versus Notre Dame. This is a really tough one for me. I've been trying to remain non-biased. I mean, obviously, I want Notre Dame to win. Like I said earlier, I think this is going to come down to it's going to be a game of Penn State's offense versus Notre Dame's defense. Penn State's offense, real good, man. That tight end they have, he'll be top 5 in the
Warren
draft
Jr.
for sure.
Yep.
He might go to the Patriots. Honestly, let's see what happens.
Hey, he might.
And I think it will be a close game on that regard, right? Offense versus defense. And then I think when you switch fields, I think Notre Dame's offense is a little bit better than Penn State's defense. I think this is going to be this will either be a one-score game or it will be a blowout.
I respect that.
I mean, Notre
I think
Dame's
that's what's gonna happen.
the favorite for the game odds right now. Like they're
Minus
the
1.5.
underdog.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a close game.
Okay.
It's a close game.
I
But
feel
I think Notre Dame, if Riley Leonard can throw the ball a little bit better than he has, right? Didn't throw it too much against Georgia, right? Rush a little bit. If Jeremiah Love can get healthy, right, and we can expand, that was really the main problem of why Riley Leonard didn't throw the balls because our running back game wasn't that great against Georgia because we were all sick and injured.
Mhm.
So, Georgia's defense could press up a little bit more, knowing we're not going to run, cutting off the throw. If they can get the running backs healed up in time to play Penn State, might go in Notre Dame's way. I'll
I'm
leave it
glad
at
you
that.
said that. That's exactly what I was going to go into. I feel
Yeah.
like the running game, it has to be efficient on both sides. That's going to be the key factor for either one of them winning. Because we talk about Penn State running offense, they've gotten much better,
yeah.
way better these past couple of weeks, and it hasn't really been talked about that much. They've gotten much better. And then, like you said, if Jeremiah Love could just get a little bit healthy as far as because Jeremiah Love, explosive. Like, literally, all
Man.
it takes is, like, a couple just bunch plays from Jeremiah Love and
That
Notre Dame
98-yard
would be in the
run
national
against Indiana,
championship.
man.
Literally.
Man.
That's all it takes. So it's gonna come down to the run game,
I
honestly.
was listening to, because I was working at the time, so I was listening to the radio on it, and I was listening to the Indiana broadcast call of that 98-yard run. I've never heard people be so demoralized ever, ever. I think another thing when it comes down to is we've talked about Ohio State and how they're fired up, right? Penn State's been blew out SMU 38-10. They blew out Boise State 31-14, right? Notre Dame versus Indiana 27-17. What they really had to lock in the fourth quarter to keep them there.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia 23-10. We've already talked about that game. Notre Dame has had to put their head to the ground and just get their hands dirty with these games. And I think that might be the deciding factor with these two teams, that Penn State's been living kind of easy. They've been playing scrimmages for the last 2 months, essentially, right? That Oregon game was their last tough game, right? And that was a while ago at this point. I mean, the time of this game, I'm trying to think.
It's a month away. It'd be a month because
That
they
game
lost.
in
It'd be a month. It'd be a month
You
since
talking
their
about Penn
last.
State, you said?
Yeah, Penn State versus Oregon. By the time the Cotton Bowl the Orange Bowl takes place, it will have been over a month since they played a tough team, and I think that might work against them.
I think for me, it just comes down to coaching. Marcus Freeman is just so good right now.
Man,
he looks incredible. The team's looking incredible. I think that is really what it comes down to.
Mhm.
So I'm obviously Penn State doesn't have bad coaches either, but Marcus Freeman doing what he did in Notre Dame.
yeah.
Not only when you got to think when Brian Kelly left, everyone's Brian Kelly was a great coach. He almost took it to the playoffs multiple times, almost took it to the national championship. And then he leaves. No one follows him. And that was a thing for me where I'm like, why did none of his assistants, none of his coaching staff follow him?
Yeah,
But Marcus
we don't
Freeman,
like Brian Kelly.
no, Marcus Freeman just gets promoted, and they're like, no, we want to stay with Marcus Freeman. We want to stay with him. What was going on in that locker room? Obviously, it's years ago. Who cares now? We're doing much better than him.
Oh, I can tell you what happened. But Brian Kelly was a terrible coach.
He was
Brian
you know what?
Kelly. Brian
Ran
Kelly
that locker
is the
room
worst thing.
like a dictator, I bet.
Brian Kelly does the worst thing that a head coach can possibly do, and this is any sport, right? When the post game interview happens, right, he gets up on stage, gets the microphones in front of him, right? He's live. Coach, how'd you guys win this game today? We did a really good job of doing this, right? Next game, Coach, what'd you guys do to lose the game? They didn't do a good job of blah. When they win, it's him.
Mm-hmm.
When they lose, it's the team. Let me tell you something, man. As a player, you remember that stuff. You understand that, right? Leave it at that. And also, it's just a bad coach. LSU is not good. I'm sorry, LSU has not been anything since Joe Burrow left.
So many great players on their team.
Incredible.
There's no reason they should make the college football playoffs. No reason.
Yeah.
At all.
I mean, the only reason LSU was anything last year is because Jaden Daniels. Daniels was great.
They didn't make it then either.
We're gonna wrap up our college football playoff talk, and I'll let you have one more talking point about anything you want. Go ahead.
I feel like going into it, it's going to be a really great matchup. I feel like I said, it's going to be running game for Penn State and Notre Dame, and for Texas, it's just going to be narratives. Honestly, if Arch Manning come in, he's going to control the narrative, and I still feel like Texas is going to win it all. I feel like that Texas is still going to win it all. These are three great teams that they're going to go against, but Texas, they got the narrative, they're going to win.
Matt, up to you. Last minute.
I definitely think that Ohio State's just going to pull it out. I mean, like, I don't know how you can't. They're hot right now. Going into you never know. Like their first matchup's obviously against Texas. You never know if like Quinn Ewers is gonna have a good game, then Archie Manning's gonna come in. He's gonna have like a even better game. You don't know, so it is a scary time right now. But I think that they could take Penn State or Notre Dame. I'm not worried about that. Getting through Texas will be their biggest hump. After they do that, it is barbecue chicken for them.
Barbecue chicken, indeed. That's going to do it for the college football playoff talk. Once again, Texas versus Arizona State, January 10th at the Cotton Bowl, and Capital One Orange Bowl, Penn State versus Notre Dame, and January 9th. Both those games, 7:30 Eastern time. Now, we talked about college football, and Ant knows a good amount about football. However, we're about to unlock him even more as we move over to the NFL. Last week of the regular season, there's not a lot to talk about, really. Obviously, some draft order is in place. And when I say there's not a lot to talk about, I mean specific games. Obviously, teams are going to be rested. Teams have already been mathematically eliminated. If you're the Cowboys, the season started and you were mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Man, I could talk about that's another episode for another time. Starts off today, 3:30. It's actually starting at an afternoon game. Browns versus Ravens. It's if anything, it's just Ravens trying to get the final touches. Tuning in, right? Move on. Bengals versus Steelers today at 7 o'clock, a Saturday night game. That's got some playoff potential, and things happen. Bengals somehow clawing themselves
They're
from the
still in it.
grave. From the grave, they are still alive. Man, Ant, talk about it.
Going into it, I mean, I feel like the Bengals have like the most solid season ever, but their record just didn't show for it. I mean, Joe Shiesty literally has the most passing yards in the NFL. I think he's either first or second in the most passing touchdowns in the NFL. Has had an amazing season, but it just hasn't shown for it going into the actual record. They were 5-8, and they just rallied together and finally won games. And now they're very close, very close. I think they beat that amazing Denver game last week. That was an amazing win for them. And now
That was a battle.
yeah, and they now are controlling their way to get into the AFC playoffs. So I feel like it's going to be a good game. Steelers have been a little shaky, but Steelers need to find a way to get George Pickens into the offensive scheme. I know George Pickens has been a little bit injured. He's been a little bit out of the way, but if they find a way to get George Pickens into this game, Steelers are going to beat the Bengals. They're going to get out. But I feel like Steelers are going to win. I feel like the Steelers are going to win. I know I just hyped up Joe Shiesty, but I feel like the Steelers are going to win solely because George Pickens and how he's going to play today.
Yeah, Joe Burrow has not only clawed his way like into the playoff conversation, but also the MVP conversation at the same time. So pretty much, I think the finalists. Listen, I don't think Saquon wins it, especially now that he's not playing the last game. Right? Offensive Player of the Year, I think, should be awarded to him, right? Or Lamar Jackson. With that being said, I don't think Lamar's the MVP. I don't think it's Joe Burrow. I am a Josh Allen MVP fan solely for the purpose of you got to look at everyone else on the roster.
That's pretty funny there.
Don't look at me like that, man. No, you gotta look at the roster, right? I flat out, I don't think it's Lamar because the addition of Derrick Henry has really allowed the defense to like open up and given Lamar a lot more opportunities, right? I understand statistically this is his best season ever, including the seasons where he has won MVP. But the addition of Derrick Henry, also if you look at stats, the Baltimore Ravens like receivers are open more than anybody else, right? Yeah, cool. Lamar's making these throws, but that's because it's not really like he's not really being challenged to do it, right? Great season from him, right? Look at Joe Burrow once again, really great offensive help, right? T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, fantastic, right? He's definitely put the team into that position. However, Josh Allen, please rewind. What we're in week 17, week 18, right? Please go back 20 weeks ago. Not a single person in the world thought the Bills were going to do anything. People thought the Bills weren't going to win their division, and people actually considered, hey, maybe the Bills kind of tank a little bit this year, get a high draft pick. They don't have a lot of guys, right? Our wide receiver, will be nameless, but he's playing down in Texas, not anymore, right? Nobody thought the Bills were going to do anything. And you look at the players that the Bills have. There's like no like all-pro players on this team outside of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has had to bring his team. He's like Jordan. Josh Allen has had to bring his team up to the next level. That's all I'll say, right? Josh Allen for MVP. And you know more about football than I do, right?
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong.
Not even
I'm gonna tell
an
you.
opinion. I'm just wrong.
I'm gonna tell you. Well, first of all, shout out to Josh Allen. I always said that if Josh Allen limit his turnovers, he will be the best player in the National Football League. Every year, it was either him literally getting 3 touchdowns and then throwing 2 picks or fumbling the ball twice. And I'm just like, if he limit his turnovers, he could be great. What he do this year? He limited his turnovers. So he's playing great. But I'll tell you why you're wrong. I look at this scoreboard, right? 28, 35, 41, 30, 40, 41, 35, 30, 24, 35, 34 points, all scored by the Ravens this season. And they're not just going to get scrubs. They're in the best conference every single year. They're going against the Steelers, the Bengals, and they're going against I forgot the other team. The Steelers, the Bengals, and the other team, just the Browns. The Browns, forget the Browns.
That's why we forgot about them.
But we're going against the Steelers and the Bengals every single year. Even then when against the Broncos this year, the Chargers, the Eagles, going against one of the strength of record they're going against has been insane. And I understand your take against Derrick Henry. That did open it up for more for him. But still, I mean, he has more passing yards, have more throwing yards, have more. I think he leads Josh Allen in every stat other than just rushing touchdowns. Every stat.
That is true.
Every stat, even in passing.
Yeah. No, I get
in
that. I get it.
passing rating. Every year they talked about Lamar Jackson, how he can't throw, how he can't throw the football down the field. His passing rating this year is 122. 122. That's like, I think that's like either first or second in the NFL. Beating out all these quarterbacks that they said he couldn't throw the ball better. I like my quarterbacking. I'm like, bro, like, come on now, like, it's Lamar Jackson.
No. I get. I listen. Everything you said is a great point, and that's why I think like either offensive player of the year should go to either Lamar or Saquon Barkley. I think that's what it should be, right? Again, I think it just really relies on what you count most valuable player as, right? If most valuable player is, hey, who put up the best stats, I don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out. If it's Lamar Jackson, right? Obviously. And even then it might be Joe Burrow, right? Both of them have better stats than Josh Allen. I get that. Most valuable player, right? I look at it this way. If you take them off the team, like what do they do to the team, right? Let's put in Bills. You know, let's imagine a world where the Bills' backup quarterback is the QB1. Now, if you're like us and Bears fans, you don't have to imagine a world like that because it's Mitch Trubisky, right? If you took out Josh Allen and put in Mitch Trubisky, and that's it, that's the team, right? No other changes. The Bills are probably only winning.
You'd be out of the first round by a missed field goal.
The Bills are probably only winning like 6 games.
Yeah,
And it's only because they played the Jaguars and the Cardinals at the beginning of the season. They played the Dolphins twice, right? That's the team, right? You take out Lamar. I don't know who the Ravens' backup QB is, right? Oh, is it? Who is it? I feel like it's someone I know.
It is someone we know.
Regardless, you take it out, you still got Derrick Henry. You still got all these pretty great receivers, right? The Bengals, we already see what happens when they have their backup QB, right? But you take them out this season, right? You still got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to throw to. I grade, and listen, you make an incredibly valid point, and I do respect it, of the stats and what Lamar Jackson's done. He's also kind of just redefined the quarterback role as a whole. You talk about quarterbacky, yeah, because guys want Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady. They want these big dudes who are just going to sit in the pocket. They're not going to move. When they do run, it looks like a person with arthritis going upfield, right? And they want to sit in there and throw the ball. They don't want a Lamar Jackson who can maybe take the game into his own hands with a little bit more of a running back technique, right? I get what you're saying, but I grade MVP as this person. If you took them off this team, how much does it change it? If you take Joe Burrow off, not much of a change because they've lost a lot of games. You take Lamar Jackson off, yeah, they lose a little bit more games, but they're still probably in the playoff picture. You take Josh Allen off the Bills, irrelevant team. That's where I leave it.
No, that's not ridiculous because like it's most valuable player, not most stats producing player. You know what I mean? Like I feel a lot of times that we just look at the stats too much and we're just like, oh, he's producing all this, he's producing all this. Like, yeah, I understand it's
Let me stop you there. I don't think we look at the stats too much because I think there's times where we don't look at the stats enough. I think we look at the stats at the wrong time.
Okay,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But like at a time like this, you have to look at like not exactly what John's saying, but like exactly what John's saying, where it's like it matters, like the situation that the respective players are in. You know what I mean? Like look at Saquon. He's surrounded by a good team. What's he doing now? He's producing. You know what I mean? But like at the Giants, what was he doing? Nothing, because like Brian DeBoe was his coach. So you know what I mean? Like that. I think that's what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Like it's most valuable player. Who's the most valuable player? Like it's got to be Josh Allen for me. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Lamar's having a great, incredible season, and I'm very excited to see where he keeps on growing. And maybe if it was like a different situation this year, he would be like my MVP. But it's for me, it's just Josh Allen. You know?
Can I say something?
Yeah,
Real
go
quick?
ahead. You can wrap it up.
I don't like that. I just don't like the way you just said that. I just don't. Because you think about it.
Which part? What did I say?
You talking about if they take Josh Allen out, he'll of course still be bad.
Okay.
If they take Lamar Jackson out, they'll be solid, right?
Yeah.
What's the most valuable position in the NFL? The quarterback. So you can say that about any other team.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that about any team. Literally any team. They take I mean, hate to bring my Falcons into it, but what's been our worst issue all these years? Why did we pay 180 million for a arthritis quarterback like Kirk Cousins?
Doesn't matter.
We needed him. We needed a quarterback. The quarterback is the most valuable position.
No.
You could say that about anybody.
I don't care who you put in there.
About anybody.
I don't care who you put in there at quarterback. Kyle Pitts is still dropping those balls. I don't care. He ain't catching dick right now. Like, no way.
I mean, we still have London, 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm not talking about
So,
those guys. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts. He's still your tight end. He's still dropping everything.
Yeah, he's still dropping everything.
Like,
but
it doesn't matter who you put in there as quarterback. You could hit that guy in the numbers right
Let
now.
me ask you this. All right, we'll stay on for a little bit, right? What has been the one thing that the Bengals have lost games?
The one thing the Bengals have lost games for?
Why have they been losing games? What's the one
It's the
key
one
factor?
thing that's always been the key factor. Their offensive line.
That's not where I was going. I was gonna say the Bengals defense just isn't good.
Oh yeah, that too.
Bengals defense not great.
They lost Jesse Bates. It's just been
Bengals defense bad. You look at the record for the Bengals. I think the only reason that Joe Burrow is in the MVP conversation is because people have universally said that he's not losing these games.
No,
right?
not at all.
Right. I would say the Bills defense is not much better than the Bengals. Right. I would say that the Bills defense is right around the halfway point. If you had, because after this week, the rankings are going to change. But right now, the Bills might have like the 16th, 17th best defense, right? The Bengals are probably bottom 10, right?
That's true. I'll give you that.
So teams are putting up points, and they're scoring against the Bills, right? Josh Allen gets back, if he's on offense. Like that's literally has been teams' strategy to beat the Bills this season is, we just need to hold offensive possession as long as we can, just so the Bills can't have offensive possession because they know they can't stop him, right? The Ravens defense, probably they're top 10?
Yeah.
The Ravens defense is just giving them a chance. And I'm not going to use it as a defactor or a thing against Lamar Jackson.
I like the defense better than the put in.
That's for sure. So I just think that, and you look down the line, right? Why have the Bills been winning games? Their defense hasn't been helping them out. And the offense, you talk about all the time, the defense bailed them out of this one, right? Josh Allen has been bailing out the Bills a couple of times, right? I'll go back to week one against the Cardinals. The Cardinals, great offense this year. The Bills defense did no favors. Josh Allen, body on the line. I'm going to dive head first. CTE, strike me down. He's getting it done.
I'll give you that. I like that argument better because when you think about it, like I'm just like, you could put any or the most valuable position in NFL is quarterback. Like that, you can say that for any team.
Yeah.
But when it comes to defense, I'll give you that. That's a better argument because Josh Allen will have to put up 40 points.
And I'll tell you what, it's a good argument. This MVP race has been a good conversation to have this season, right? It's nice to have a tough MVP race, right? Mm-hmm. Like look at last year, it's like, well, yeah, it's Lamar, it's Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
When there's a tough MVP race, that means that there's good football being played, and I think that's what it really comes down to.
Yeah.
We know a little bit on tangent. This might be the last moment we have to talk about the NFL MVP. So I'm glad we got it. I mean, I don't know when our recording scheduling is, and I know they announce it like during the playoffs. So
yeah,
we're running out of time there. We'll stick back to the schedule here of Week 18. Not a lot of intense games. Panthers, Falcons, right? Texans, Titans, Giants.
Go back. We need that game. Go back.
Panthers, Falcons.
We need
you
that
need
game.
that. Are you still in playoff contention?
Yes, we're still in playoff contention.
Okay.
We need that game.
What? So obviously, you beat the Panthers, right? What else needs to happen?
So
who needs to lose?
It's just the Buccaneers need to lose to the Saints. If we beat the Panthers, we're in.
I don't know. I don't think the Bucs lose to the Saints, man. I don't know.
I don't think that's gonna happen either. But we're still in contention. I looked at it every day. You see eliminated. Falcons and Bucks. That's literally the only two teams that are questionable to get in there.
Giants and Eagles. Saquon is not playing. He will not break the record. He's not going up against his former. Man, that would have been fun to watch.
That would have been very
Colts
fun.
versus Jaguars. I mean, that might be the lowest watched game of the entire week, if you ask me. Commanders and Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys just bring in fans no matter what. Our Super Bowl, Bears versus Packers, noon game in Chicago.
No, they're in Lambeau.
They're in Lambeau. Oh man,
Yeah.
Dang. Noon game. I mean, listen, can we just win? Can we just win it?
Dude, like, I don't even care if we lose every game for the next year. Like,
Can we
you
just
can
beat
go
the
0-16
Packers once?
next year.
Just beat the
If we
Packers
beat the
once.
Packers today, dude, I'll throw a party like in the streets of Chicago. Like,
Yeah.
it would literally burn down.
Yeah. Man, gosh.
I'm gonna just let
we unfortunately can't have a Bears conversation without Caleb here because we need that level of we might burn the building down to have the conversation.
But, like,
we are going to have a Bears. We're going to have probably a Chicago sports conversation eventually. We need to. I'm also going to move on because Matt's getting frustrated, and I just mentioned the game itself. Saints versus Buccaneers, as Ant just mentioned, that's a little bit more of a playoff contention thing. Bills versus Patriots, that's kind of locked in. Chargers, Raiders, 49ers, Cardinals. The 49ers, that's a team who's had a very rough season.
Yeah.
A game that kind of means a lot. The Chiefs versus the Broncos. The Chiefs might be sitting everybody. If the Broncos win outright, they are in. They've needed to win one of their last 3 games. They played, I can't remember who the first one was, played the Chargers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then they played the Bengals. Now they're playing the Chiefs. I think they had a very solid chance to win those first 2 games. They didn't get it done, so now it's down to the last game of the season. You love it. You love it. You won a competitive football game, your final game of the year. The Broncos are... What do you... without the Chiefs starters, can they do it?
Yeah, they still control their destiny. I mean,
they almost beat them with the starters.
Yeah, I mean, both niggas have been having a
great season.
And then Bonito, their defense, bro. Denver's defense has one of the best defenses in the league. I mean, PS2, Riley Moss. I mean,
it's a good day for a football fan base to actually to be able to say, oh yeah, it was this one person's fault, that being Russell Wilson, because man, that didn't work last year.
That just didn't work, honestly.
We go to Seahawks and Rams, also kind of a nothing game. Dolphins and Jets. Man, Aaron Rodgers just needs to retire, man. Just needs to retire. And then we move on. The NFL script writers absolutely went into the kitchen, took out all the spices, and cooked with this one. Sunday Night Football, 7:20, the only game on.
The last game of the week.
The last game of the regular season. Vikings versus Lions, 14-2 versus 14-2. You got 1 game left to decide the division. You got 1 game left to decide the regular season. This is it.
I mean, you can't write it any better, like you just said. You really can't.
No one's getting rested. It's Dan Campbell's throwing everybody out there. The Vikings throwing everybody out there. It's just a clash to have the number 1 seed overall. Man, this might be this. I'll call it now. This will be the most televised game of the year so far.
Yeah, 100%.
The tickets are going. The next highest ticket, the second highest ticket is $113, and that's Kansas City, Denver. That's because it's Kansas City.
Yeah,
The next highest ticket is Minnesota, Detroit, $332.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness.
And let me tell you something.
Is it at Detroit?
It's at Detroit.
Yeah, wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
No. It's at
No, it's at Detroit. It's at Ford Field.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be full. It will be a packed stadium.
It will be a packed stadium. That's a beautiful stadium.
I don't know how
they played each other once already, right?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
I don't know.
The Lions lost to the Bills, and the Lions lost to who else? Was it the Vikings? Did the Vikings already have one?
They lost to the Bills and the Bucks.
Those are the Buccaneers.
Yeah, second week.
Baker
That's
Mayfield
fair.
has been having a good
Baker
start.
Mayfield was the MVP the first 5 weeks of the season.
So they beat
He was.
they beat the Vikings 31-29.
So a close game then.
Yeah.
So now, man,
I think
But-
Detroit pulls it out.
this one.
I do. Yeah, they're at home. Jared Goff, Dan Campbell.
I don't know, man.
I mean, like,
I don't know. I watched the Vikings the other day. The Vikings, their offense is just so.
They
like,
love Sam Darnold.
He's
They
perfect.
love him.
He's. I mean, who would have done Sam Darnold? I thought I mean, literally, he went to the Jets. They basically failed him as a quarterback. Went to I don't know. I think he went to the Carolina Panthers, and then now here at the Vikings. I mean, just
Sam Darnold, by the way, was.
amazing
We're
season.
talking about the MVP conversation. Sam Darnold in the same draft round and picked before Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Way to go, guys. Yeah, I mean, again, it's a perfect comment. It's we talk about this all the time where it's like Bears fans will always go like, "Oh, we drafted Mitch Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes." Let me tell you something. If Mahomes goes to the Bears, he's not
Sucked.
Mahomes. He's not Mahomes. It's team, it's coaching, and it's player. It's a combination of all three.
it's ownership.
Sam Darnold going to that's definitely the biggest
Yeah,
one.
definitely ownership.
Going to the Jets and the Panthers. Dude, no, who expected you to do anything?
And then shout out to O'Connell, their actual offensive coordinator. Like you just said, the coaching
It's been great.
100% help. But it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard because the Lions. I mean, I just watched that Monday Night Football game against the Lions. I forgot who they played the Monday Night Football game just literally last week. I think it was a really tough game. But they scored 42 points. 42
The
points.
49ers.
Yeah, the 49ers. And it just looks so effortless.
Everybody called that
effortless.
Everybody was calling that a nothing game. I'm like,
how is that a nothing game?
What are you talking about?
They
I'm
need
like,
to get first seed.
They're trying to get first seed and they play the Vikings next week. I was so weird. Like every single like major news outlet like for sports was like trying to convince people not to watch this game. I'm like, first of all, 49ers and Lions, it's kind of a little bit of a rivalry the last couple seasons. Just watch it for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I feel like it's really gonna come down to first of all, Lions are just banged up completely on defense. Like banged up completely on defense. But they still have been holding in there. But I really just feel like it comes to the passing game. Whoever can attack the passing game is just going to be the winner. Because you think Amon-Ra St. Brown has been playing lights out. I think he's first, and if he's not first, everything I know it's either the Jamar Chase or not Jamar Chase. Yeah, it's either Jamar Chase, but he's been playing great, and it's gonna come down to the passing game. Also, with the Lions on the other side with Justin Jefferson, it's gonna come down to whoever can attack the defenses and just can see like the soft spots in the coverages. Honestly.
Right now, the odds kind of show Lions -3. So again, I don't think listen. There's not a single person saying this is going to be a blowout by any means.
No, it's gonna be
It will be a close game.
High scoring close game.
Man, I really don't have a prediction for this. I mean, I'm gonna take the Vikings for the sole purpose of me just saying like the Lions are injured, right? However, Lions have been injured the entire season. They're losing everybody. Also, listen, I gotta if he's listening, because he's a big fan. Aiden Hutchinson, don't come back. Do not come back. Let me tell you something. As someone who has broken their leg, me personally, do not do it. Don't do it. First of all, if you think you're gonna break your leg in half, heal within the same season, and come back and play to the level you are Hayden Hutchinson, it's not happening. I promise. Your strength. No, on a physical level, your strength is gone. Your body is unbalanced. Don't do it. You might embarrass yourself.
I understand that, but you playing with a team with Dan Campbell, the most fiercest, ferocious head coach ever. If Dan Campbell was talking to my ear saying you might could come back, I don't know, man. I'll probably be hyped up to come back too, even if it makes no sense.
No, you're right.
It makes no sense, like you just said. But if Dan Campbell's in my ear, man, I would want to come back.
Oh, you're
completely
for that man. You are 100% correct. This is why head coaching. This is why. Listen, for a while I wasn't a huge fan of Dan Campbell just because he's Lions, right? And I'm a Bears fan.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I respect Dan. I respect the hell out of Dan Campbell. What he has done to Detroit. This is what they talk about. Anytime any professional sports team is like, oh, we got to build a culture. This is what they're talking. This is now the standard of building a culture. Listen, man, we're in the NFL, right? You don't see this too often. I'm sorry to put it this way because I know you're a big NFL. Guys are being paid way too much money. Guys don't really care anymore, right?
Yeah.
Dan Campbell has taken a group of millionaires and said, hey, Put your body on the line. You don't see that really anymore in the NFL.
You don't.
And listen, I think it's
You
good
don't
for
see that in college.
I think it's. I mean, not anymore. 5 years ago, you did.
Oh.
Now it's like, oh, collect as an NIL. Was Quinn Ewers not playing good? $12 million to come to our school. What are we talking about?
It's ridiculous.
But man, yeah, I just Aiden. Because I think the timeline is like. Well, also like, listen, Aiden Hutchinson. Your body's not going to be right, and if the Lions go to the Super Bowl, that's his timeline, right? Like he will be ready to play. Like he can walk then, right? It's like, dude, you might be a liability if you play in the Super Bowl if you make it that far.
That is true.
Just dude, just take the season. Take the season.
We don't want to wait. He's going to have an NFL Hall of Fame career. We don't want to jeopardize that. You're right. Right. That makes sense.
I think him being in the trenches like that, for football, it's you don't want to come back. You don't want to risk anything.
I promise you.
Pile up.
And let me tell you something. I promise you, the medical staff is like, no.
Yeah, no. There's no way.
There is no way. Aiden Hutchinson's on podcast saying he wants to come back. Dan Campbell's like, we would love to have him. I promise you. First of all, you go a little bit higher. You go a little bit above Dan Campbell. I can promise you, like the general management and the owners are like, no,
they're strangling.
Dan
No. Like we need you for 11 more years, but yeah, come on.
No,
Matt, who do you got? Vikings versus Lions?
Oh, I got Lions. I think they've been doing good. They're at home. I think they're gonna hold that momentum. So, I think it's more important for them to get that bye week than it is for them to sit somebody. Because then you got an extra week off. I think that's more important. You got injured people. I think they're gonna fight hard for that. But coming back to this Aiden Hutchinson thing. Dude, you break your leg again, you're done. Like you're done. You're out for the next start of the season.
If you guys, listen, you guys remember, like I saw it happen, right? I saw Aiden Hutchinson, like his leg snap in half, and like I even said it. Like me personally, I think Aiden Hutchinson's career is like he's capped off now. Like I'm sorry, like there is a certain level. Like listen, we see it happen with athletes all the time. It's like there are injuries that just change you, right? And again, even if physically he is where he was when that happened, right? I'm saying, me personally, mentally, he will never be the same. Mentally, he will never be the same, knowing that, hey, the last time I, blitzed this QB on the left side on this arc, my leg snapped in half. Do I want to do that again? I mean, you look at fighters, right? I've over the last 2 years, I've become a huge fan of the UFC. Right. You see it all the time, right? You see those leg kicks, right, guys, and the leg just snaps in half completely. A lot of those guys, they come back and fight. Never the same. Never. They talk about it all the time. Like the professionals talk about it. After that, those leg kicks they put in, not as strong, not as powerful. They're not willing to plant their back foot and really place in a punch because deep down, psychologically, you think to yourself, the last time I did this, I couldn't walk. I was in excruciating pain. It happened to me. I can tell you for a fact. My junior year of high school, I broke my right leg. I still have problems to this day. I'm 22 years old. I came back that next season, right? Dude, there was times where I'm like, I don't know if I want to slide tackle this guy. Dude, I want to fight for Matt saw me play. I loved being physical in soccer. I wanted to kill guys when I was in high school. I came back that next year. I'm like, maybe I just go for the ball here. Maybe I just ease back. And guess what? I didn't play that much.
Yeah. Respect.
I'm just telling. Listen, man. I'm saying it as someone who has gone through it, quite literally like an identical injury and knows what it does psychologically. Don't play. Just take the season off.
Yeah.
And I know it's a Super Bowl, right? But also everybody, no one will blame Aiden Hutchinson if the Lions don't go to the Super Bowl. No one. Just rest yourself, please.
I honestly think that if they don't make the Super Bowl, it'll just be a question of it's the Lions. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be Dan Campbell's fault. It's not going to be any player's fault. It's not going to be management's fault. It's going to be the fact that
first of all, they're injured. They are injured.
It's
not Aiden. It's not just Aiden Hutchinson. Everyone is injured. Which also. Credit needs to be given to Dan Campbell for even being in this position where we're still talking about them in the Super Bowl. They're missing 40 guys on defense.
And only lost 2 games. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just okay, you don't make it. Same thing with the Bills. It's like the Bills are just cursed, the Lions are just cursed. It's like you just can't get there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's all I think it is. So, yeah.
Final take, like I said, it's going to go down to the passing game. Jordan Addison going to have a really big game because Justin Jefferson's going to get double teamed. It's gonna come down to that.
Dude, I think the money line is Justin Jefferson over under 65.5 receiving yards. It's like the only reason people aren't going over is because the Lions the backfield or the secondary is gonna fucking lock his ass up.
Yeah. But like I said, Jordan Addison, it's just gonna leave him open. So I feel like he's gonna be the most key player of the game. It's gonna come down to that.
Let me look up one thing real quick before we get off here. Let's look up the NFL playoff picture before we go. So right now, let me get this here. In New Orleans, by a rough time for that.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
So right
Dang.
now, we look at the AFC. 1 through 6 are the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Texans, the Steelers, and the Chargers. By the way, the Texans, start of the season, look great. They won a lot of games. I think that put them in the playoff picture. Right now, man.
I don't know. CJ
those
been
losses-
he looked shaky this whole entire year to me. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
He definitely had his second year woes for real. He looked shaky this whole
Yes, he
entire
did.
season.
And also, I think part of that is look at the schedule. Last year compared to this year, the
Yes.
Texans did not
my
really
goodness.
play anybody. Because Lovie Smith was he was a Bears sleeper agent the entire time. We look at the opposite side of the football world, the NFC. Right now, Lions at 1, Eagles at 2, Rams 3, Vikings 5, which that can switch. You either go, it's interchangeable. Lions are either 1 or 5, Vikings are either 1 or 5.
That's insane.
Command that much of a swing.
That's insane.
One game is going to change the entire NFC playoff picture. Like, first of all, right now, if you're the Eagles, Rams, Commanders, or Packers, you can't. How do you prepare for the playoffs? Hey, go scout every team we have. Go create a game plan. Go our 25 assistant coaches for the offensive line. Go scout every team, dude. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's gonna be fun. I cannot wait.
It's you know what it's gonna come down. It's gonna come down to one stupid play
In
for
the hunt.
Lions and like Vikings. It's gonna come down to one stupid play, and then this fan base is gonna be like, if the Vikings guy got one more yard, we wouldn't have been playing the Lions, and then if we weren't playing Lions, we would have won. It's gonna come down to one stupid thing that people are gonna be like
Next
that.
gen stats in the hunt right now are the Broncos and the Buccaneers. The Broncos are 9-7. They're third in the AFC West. The Buccaneers 9-7 as well. They are first in the NFC South. And on the bubble right now are the Dolphins, Bengals, and Falcons.
Yes, sir.
There's a chance.
There's a chance. 10%.
Playoff probability for the Buccaneers, 90%. Playoff probability for the Broncos, 84%. Playoff probability for the Falcons. Ant, you want to guess what number it is?
10%.
It is 10%. There you go. There you go. And eliminated, that's the end of that conversation. That's the end of this episode. Guys,
Go Bears.
Let's go. Can we just beat the Packers?
I don't even care if you like break Jordan Love's leg on purpose. Just win.
Whoa.
Damn it. No, I don't care.
Jeez.
I'm not a big Jordan Love fan.
Me after I just had like a 5-minute rant to Aiden Hutchinson on how bad I feel for him. This guy's like, don't listen to him.
Don't listen to him. Break his leg. Like,
honestly, I feel like win or lose, I just want Caleb Williams to have just a solid game. Just a solid game just to he could take into the next season. That's all we need.
So
that's
I saw
all
this
Caleb
post.
Williams needed,
I
man.
saw this post. If I knew who it was from, I'd shout him out. But it's like this guy posted on X Twitter. He was like, "So what you're saying is Kyle Shanahan, Dan Campbell, all these playoff coaches, all these people are saying Caleb Williams is gonna have a good career, but that one guy on Twitter who says he's washed, that guy's right, man."
That one guy on Twitter.
yeah,
Dang.
he's gonna be fine. Like Caleb Williams is good. It literally comes down to the McCaskies. Well, next episode, I really want to sit down with like all four of you and
are
talk
going
about
to
like
have-
Chicago sports.
We're gonna have a Chicago sports rant, yeah,
Like,
because they're all bad.
yeah.
Our WNBA team is bad. Our women's soccer team is bad.
The
Our
men's soccer team
our
is bad.
MLS team is bad.
Like, you know who the best player for right now is? Loyola. It's fucking Loyola. Like, come on.
Man, that's tough. But when it comes back to, I'm gonna take it back to Caleb Williams real quick. I'll say one thing.
Sister Jean, MVP of the.
his
Chicago sports.
progressions have gotten better. Like I've seen the actual.
Listen,
Yeah,
that streak he had of no interceptions. The only reason he had an interception last game is because he just had a wing. Like, hey, we're just against the Seahawks. Like, hey, Caleb, here's the play call. Caleb, we just need you to wing something upfield.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was intercepted. Well, yeah, that's what you told him to do.
Literally. And that comes down to coaching all the time. It comes down to coaching, and
Can we get Ron Rivera?
and it comes down
That's
to
what I
him
want.
just being like. I feel like one thing that Caleb Williams have taken, he slowed down the game, like completely slowed down the game. Like you see him with his wristband, he's literally looking at the wristband, looking at his receivers, making sure they're in the right lineup before they snap the ball. When they do snap the ball, he's looking down the field, 1 progression, 2 progression, 3 progression. go back to my progression 2, throw it there. He's taking better time, but I feel like I said at the beginning of the season, it's going to take some time for Caleb to get to that. And I just want y'all Bears fans to notice that. Like, it's not going to happen this year. And that's the
And that's
one
fine.
thing. That's the one thing I just want Caleb Williams to just progress and get better with that.
And that's fine.
Hopefully he has that against the Packers this upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, he's not gonna be like the greatest quarterback we've seen so far. It's gonna take some time, and I mean, we're putting a lot of money into him, so I have some faith with him. You know what I mean?
We got 5 years. We got 4 more after this.
I have faith. I
Let's see
do.
what happens. If you want to hear more about the NFL and a little bit more predictions, a little bit more fine-tuned things, make sure you check out Anthony Hudson's show, It's My Turn,
Yes, sir.
on YouTube and Spotify from Matt Lamsky, Anthony Hudson, and John Mastay. We will be back. We're happy to return. And, of course, Matthew?
Podcast out.